The ASUS Tuf X570 Gaming Wi-Fi is currently the best AM4 motherboard that I work with, and then decided to part ways with it. It will make sense why at the end of the video. Both SoC and vCore power stages have heatsinks on them, which is pretty much the standard for boards that are designed to allow overclocking on higher TDP Ryzens. The board has 12 phases for vCore, all using integrated power stages built around the SiC639 chip instead of your more typical driver MOSFET circuits. This then ensures that phases take up less board space, allowing more phases. To provide power for the SoC, ASUS decided to use two phases with the same integrated power stages that were also used for vCore. The efficiency of those power stages also tends to be better than corresponding circuits built with discrete MOSFETs, and this means less power dissipated as heat. Power from the PSU gets delivered to these VRMs through two connectors, your usual 8-pin EPS connector and the supplementary 4-pin. And while the latter is only needed for high TDP CPUs, the former is mandatory. The DIMM slots, 4 of them. And like with any ASUS board, they use a single latch at one end of the slot instead of 2 latches per slot. I hate that, but that's not why I decided to sell the board. In terms of available PCI slots, the board provides one X16 slot for the GPU, followed by a 1X slot. The second mechanical X16 slot has only 4 lanes wired, so it's really just an X4. The last slot is then another single lane slot. I really like that the X16 slot has plenty of room below it, so that the 1X slot below it is not just a decoration. The board does have two M.2 slots, with the one above the GPU slot connected straight to the CPU and allowing Gen 4 speeds if the CPU supports it. The second M.2 slot is connected however to the chipset, and it is also Gen 4 capable. And while we're on the topic of storage, the board also has 8 SATA ports. 4 of them, closer to the PCI X16 slot, are angled at 90 degrees, while the other 4, located at the bottom of the board, are straight. In both cases, ASUS went for the sensible option. Before talking about the pin headers, it's worth noticing that the board comes with 4 debug LEDs. I'd also like to point out that other manufacturers have these on their Badger boards as well. Now, back to the pin headers. Most of them are placed on the bottom edge of the board. From left to right, the first header is the front panel audio. This is then followed by a serial COM port and a debug port, both less likely to be used. You then get 2 USB 2 headers and 2 fan headers. And past the SATA ports, you then have the front panel header and a pair of pins to clear CMOS. The USB 3 pin header is placed next to the ATX power connector. This way, connecting the front panel USB 3 is a bit cleaner, as you avoid having the case cable go all the way down to the bottom of the board. In terms of RGB pin headers, you get 2, one addressable one and a plain 12V 4-pin header. Both of them are placed close to the top right corner. You then get 2 more fan headers, placed next to the 12V RGB header, and 2 more, placed close to the CPU socket. One of these last 2 is labeled as AIO pump. In about the same area, you also get a TPM SPI header. The manual only mentions it as being useful for TPM, but the board view shows it connected to the BIOS chip, allowing you to reprogram it as well. I wanted to say that the rear I/O is definitely modern, but then I saw the PS2 combo port, which is anything but modern and will remain most likely unused. The 6 USB 3 ports Type A will probably get to see a lot more action. Same would probably go with the USB 3 Type C. In terms of video output, you get just a DisplayPort and an HDMI, none of the legacy analog stuff. The Wi-Fi connectors will also work with any cheap removable antenna, much like the Prime B550A Wi-Fi reviewed earlier. But you also get the RJ45 connector for your gigabit LAN cable. In terms of audio, you get a solution that has 5 3.5mm jacks and an optical connector. But as you probably expect, I'll focus more on the microphone input. Have a listen. This is for the ASUS Prime X370 Pro, rear I/O input, volume 100%. As it is now expected, the first BIOS screen, in easy mode, will allow you to specify an XMP profile, activate rebar, and provide direct access to the fan setup utility. But to specify a given CPU core frequency, you'll need to switch to advanced mode. The multiplier can be specified in increments of 0.25. This translates to 25 MHz in terms of frequency. More frequently than setting core frequencies, I typically do a core undervolt. On this board, this is done by specifying offset mode for the VDD-CR CPU voltage, then selecting minus for the offset sign. The voltage value is then applied as a negative offset. The memory profile is applied by selecting DOCP for the AI overclock tuner. You can then select the profile from the dropdown. Now, one extra step that one should consider is to change the command rate for your RAM. Do this after setting your DOCP profile by manually changing the command rate in the DRAM timing control section. The board will allow turning on rebar in both easy mode and advanced mode. It also allows using the firmware TPM solution, so you don't really need to buy a separate TPM module. Seeing that this board supports both PWM and DC fans for the CPU should make me happy. But it also has me questioning as to why this isn't supported also for the cheaper Prime B550 board we reviewed earlier. Anyway, this board has a few fan profiles available, and the one labeled manual allows you to edit the temperature to fan usage points by either specifying numerical values, as seen on screen, or by dragging points on the fan curve. The Easy Flash utility is fairly straightforward to use. It allows selecting a BIOS cap file from a FAT32 formatted USB disk to perform a BIOS update. You can also save your overclocking settings in one of the available save slots in BIOS or as a file on an USB stick. And the last utility is basically eye candy only, as it allows specifying a behavior for the LEDs that the board comes with. The board has a pretty good power delivery. It also has a good audio solution and a competent BIOS. It's PCIe Gen 4, allowing you to use somewhat faster SSDs, assuming you have one already, or more modern video cards than the ones that I like testing. It also has Wi-Fi, and while I do prefer a copper cable, I see it being used when there is no way to set up a Cat6 cable to your router. A hint towards the reason why I sold it is that power delivery circuitry, capable of delivering in excess of 200 watts of electricity. I don't have a CPU that will require that much power. While Ryzen 9s are excellent CPUs, I am more than happy with my 60 to 80 watts Ryzen 5, and I don't plan to use anything more than an 100-ish watts Ryzen 7. Heck, I was more than happy to make do with a 4th Gen i7 up until 2025. And PCIe Gen 4 doesn't really mean much to me. I enjoy testing older GPUs, and if Gen 4 is an issue, a B550 board can still offer that. An X570 with that power delivery is a complete waste on me. It is also more kind of a Halo product, demanding a premium for some features that I'm not going to use. But I could definitely use the money raised from selling it to snipe a few more budget-oriented boards, and I'll get to see them in future videos. As for this one, well, we're done. Thanks for watching, I hope you liked it, and I'll see you for the next one.